Welcome along to Twitch Tales episode 27. Where did we leave off last session? Well, we began the session with having just bested our bandit companions, our bandit adversaries in a fight, and we heard, put your weapons down. She might be able to help us here. We picked up the session with us asking, what are you talking about? Who help you against what? And we were told that these bandits were being rather reluctant in doing what they're doing to the innocent folk of Fonderg and Shadridge, under threat of death from their overlord, the evil manticore known as Phagos. There was a manticore that was forcing them to work for him, with the exception of one such bandit called Thunderbolt, who actually enjoyed the work. He was sadistic and cruel, and he set off running to warn Phagos, "Hey, they're turning on you. They're gonna kill you." But Apis, in the moment, with a clutch critical hit, loosed an arrow and right through Thunderbolt's head, took him out like that. So we were able, without Phagos being warned of our incoming, we were able to work with Felicity, Oliver, and Morn, the three remaining bandits, to come up with a trap. We decided to wrap up Apis in the rope of entanglement, but give Apis the other end of it so that they can at all times actually be able to release themselves at a moment's notice. And then they marched Apis into the Manticore's clearing and said, "Phagos, we've got company for you. We've got a creature for you to eat." And as Phagos came flying in and landed and said, something to eat, eh? They went over to the dead Thunderbolt, who had worked for them, and showing no affinity for this creature who had served them so well for so long, just treated them like meat and crushed Thunderbolt's head in their teeth, their many, many rows of teeth. At that moment, while they're distracted eating their once ally, we said the magic word, dropped the ensnaring rope off of us, grabbed our bow from Morn, and started firing. We took aim at Phagos and started the battle. It was pretty tense. A few people got hit with various different tail spikes that Phagos was throwing. But Mel B did a ton of damage. Our giant bee companion did a ton of damage, and the fight ultimately went in our favour. And in the end, we managed to use a planar warrior arrow, which burst through the Manticore's chest, leaving it dead as it slumped to the ground against the nearby tree. And that is where we're picking up now. So, Apis, what do you want to do? You are panting in a clearing with a dead manticore still warm and bleeding in front of you, and Mel flying down to check that you're okay. We have Morn, Oliver, and Felicity, our tentative allies, nearby. What do you want to do? What happens now? Rest first. It is approximately midday-ish. So, no time for a long rest, but you can certainly start a short rest if you wish. Skin the manticore, take the claws and skull, take a vial of blood if we have an empty health potion vial. Yeah, we did chuck a health potion, so we've still got an empty vial we could fill with blood if we want. So, Apis, being having just grabbed a couple of books on herbalism and making potions, is still in the kind of mindset of like, sometimes creatures have magic within them that can be turned into potions and stuff. So, walking over while it's still fresh, Apis pulls out the health potion vial that they drank and makes sure to try and clean it out as much as possible. It's still got some residue of some health potion in there, and then they chuck it down into one of the many wounds of the manticore and feels the hot blood sticky over their hand, but fills up the vial, sticks the stopper back in, kind of wipes it on the manticore's fur, cleans off the outside of as much as possible with the blood, and then sticks it in their inventory. I don't have manticore blood as a thing, but if I click on the healing potion, we've got a vial of red potion again. We're just going to remember that that's not a healing potion until I can have time to actually label it as a manticore blood vial instead. Skinning the manticore and taking the claws, however, will take a little bit more time, so we're not just going to do that unless that's the consensus of Apis. And then parts of the manticore which are valuable, potions and whatnot, quite possibly. Apis doesn't know these things, but definitely possibly. Definitely possible. Harvest its poison. So the manticore didn't have poison, did it? Manticore didn't have poison, but it did have barbed tail. It had 24 iron-like spikes on its tail that it flung out at us. I think it fired like 6 of them in the fight. A lot of people saying valuable ingredients from the manticore's body, so I think it's there's a pretty big consensus there that Apis is going to start skinning this manticore or something. Or do we want to take the whole thing? A few people wanting to rest rather than skinning this manticore. Taking a vial of blood doesn't take very much, but skinning the manticore is going to take a long time, so we would have to put that to a vote. Get the stings, get the barbs, the tail barbs. That doesn't take that long. So Apis gets out the hunting knife, grabs the manticore tail and sort of inspects them. Now that you're up close with them, you can tell that they are indeed made of metal. There's like minerals infused with the metals. It looks like it's organic at the base of it. It looks like there's a where it attaches to the tail is organic, but the barb itself is metal. And you can see the area where the 6 or so that have been fired off, been flung out, have come out, and you can see that behind them is like the beginnings of a new nubbin, a tiny little iron-like spike where the tip of it is already starting to regrow and would take a while to regrow, but it definitely would regrow them. And you wonder for a moment when how this creature, this organic creature, grows metallic spikes from itself. But then you remember what one of the bandits said, I think, unless you remembered it from a history check. I can't remember, ironically. That these things not only eat human flesh, but they eat metal as well. They have teeth that will grind up minerals and metal, and so it seems like perhaps the consumption of metal is what helps to fuel its iron spikes. So it seems to be a unique mineral to its tail. It's not 100% iron. It's not 100% organic either. So it's some way between the two. And because they are designed to be flung off, the organic part that actually attaches it to the tail can be quite quickly broken off. So we set to starting to get these things off when Mon comes over and he goes, hey, don't take them all. I want to teach this. I want a souvenir of this fucker finally being dead. And Oliver comes over as well and says something in the same sort of vein. We need to. I'd love to have some sort of proof of us taking this thing down. So we take a couple of them. How many of the tail spikes do we want? There's about 18 or so left attached to its body, as well as if you wanted to find them, you could probably find another 2 or 3 lying around the place. The ones that it flung off at people. The tail spike is about that long, about 8 inches or so. Half a dozen each. Take 10. Take 6 to 10. A few people saying take 10. All right, we'll take 10 of the remaining spikes, and we'll leave about 8 for the other guys to take as trophies of their own. So I will again eventually note down that we have 10 manticore spikes. We need to find Mr. Ed. Yeah, true. Our horse ran off in the middle of that fight, so we probably need to find him before we can get back. Manticore does not have venom, no. The tail should be useful. Can we skim through our book? We flick through the book of potions. We see that none of them require any. Well, as a very quick skim, we don't see any that require manticore. I'll roll an investigation check, just to see how proficiently you can skim read this book. 6 plus your investigation would be a 9. So yeah, with a 9 investigation, you're quickly skimming through this book, and the word manticore doesn't jump out at you. We can take a short rest to skim read the rest of the book. Well, slightly less skim read. Look for ingredients stuff. Yeah. If we're getting the cart, can we fit it in the cart? The manticore whole body could fit in the back of a cart if we wanted. Yes. Yeah, we could have the entire manticore body on the back of the cart if needed. But the cart had a broken wheel, remember? A broken axle. Take it with us to skin it later, definitely. Start taking the teeth. Depends whether or not we're taking the whole body, because are we going to start skinning it and taking the teeth, or are we just going to take the whole body? Take the teeth. The teeth can be very useful if they're that strong. Yeah, if they're strong enough to smash through metal and stone. All right, are we going to have a short rest, or are we going to have a look for the cart and start fixing the axle, or are we going to start looking for its lair? What's first? It's a bit gory, but taking the head as proof. Head in the bag, so we don't take the whole, take the head. Possible. Fix the wheel, take the whole body. Rest to replenish our health. Research the most valuable parts of the book while we're resting. Teeth could make good arrowheads. Indeed. Fixing the cart and taking the whole body could be the ruling consensus. Most people are saying that. Yeah, it seems like rather than taking the skin or the teeth right now, putting it on the cart and taking it to harvest in a more suitable location. All right, let's go. Let's go with a poll. Are we going to have a short rest first? Are we going to have a look for the lair? Are we going to have a look for the horse? Are we going to start fixing the axle? Or are we going to start harvesting the parts off of this creature? How much health are we on? That is a good question. Let's have a look. Apis is on 22 of 45 hit points. So Apis is considered wounded. Mel B is on 26 of 30. Morn is wounded, and so is Felicity. But Oliver is actually doing okay. The longer we wait, find Mr. Ed, possibly further he could possibly be. That's a good point. If we have a half an hour to sit down and catch our breath, that's a half an hour extra that the horse can be wandering through the woods. Finding Mr. Ed after taking half an hour could be significantly more difficult. Or it could be easy. Could be that he's just in the next clearing and he's just going to stay there for the next hour. You don't know. Morn as a smith can fix the wheel. Yep. He is a farrier by trade, which means he is trained as a blacksmith, but but experienced in horse work. Look for the horse because they don't hang around long. Wow, we are still wounded. Yep, we're still under half our hit points. The whole battle took a few minutes and the horse was not like galloping away. It shouldn't be that far. No, not yet. The horse shouldn't be that hard to find right now, but if we take a half an hour to rest first, it probably will be further away. The horse was I think it got like 3 or 4 rounds during that fight, right? There was about 3 or 4 rounds of fighting. So the horses had time to start running if it needed. Alright, with 65% of the vote, we decide that we are going to look for Mr. Ed first, realising in the moment after we've plucked some of the spines off of the tail and got a vial of blood, we start thinking about what to do next, and we're like, alright, we're going to need to get that cart fixed, and we're going to need to get the horse. Oh shit, the horse. It's not my horse. I can't afford to lose it. And so you quickly say to the guys around who are also starting to move in and harvest this manticore for parts. We need to find my horse. If we can get that cart fixed, we can take this whole corpse back to Shadridge or Fondug and get it harvested properly. Don't worry, we've claimed it. It's ours. Nobody's going to take that from us. But we need to get that horse back, otherwise we can't get home with all of this stuff. Felicity says, "I'm looking for its lair. I want my wand back." And Oliver says, "Felicity, we can wait. That can wait. Okay, fine." And he just lets her go. Lets her do a thing. She goes wandering off looking for the lair. But Morn and Oliver are going to help you look for the horse. Damn it, Felicity's going to take all the good loot. Maybe. So we wander back over. We make sure to pick up all of our stuff that we dropped. The rope of entanglement that was wrapped around us. We pick that back up and wrap it back up over our arm as we walk through the forest looking for this horse. We're going to roll a survival check to see if we can find this horse. 16 plus our survival modifier, and it's because we're in woods that we get an extra 2 as well. Our survival is a +4, so +6 onto 16 is 22. With a 22, it only takes us like 5 minutes of wandering around the woods to find where the horse has gotten to track to track the horse prints and things in the mud, and to track the broken branches and stuff as it's passed. Eventually we managed to find Mr. Ed, and he's got some cuts and things on his sides. He's still got some damage to his rear end from where he was shot with a crossbow, but he's okay. He's looking a bit shaken, but we managed to sort of, with our animal handling, we calm him down, and we walk up and stroke him properly, give him some rations from our pocket that he might find tasty. Some of the more maybe the nuts and dried fruit rather than the jerky. And eventually he calms down enough for us to take him back, and we have Mr. Ed. All in all, it's taken us about 6-7 minutes to find him and bring him back. Maybe about 10 minutes overall with the calming him down as well. And as we're arriving back, Felicity, actually I'm going to see how well she does. How well do you do, Felicity? Yeah, not bad. And as a wizard, you'd have a pretty good investigation. She, as we get back about 10 minutes later, she goes, "I found it. It's in a cave just over this way. It's about a few hundred yards that way." And Oliver says, "You're sure that that's the place he was staying?" And she says, "Unless there's another cave that's stuffed with crates and boxes and swords and loot that has been taken from." And he goes, "Right, okay, yes, I get your point." So, what do we want to do now then, guys? We've got the horse. We now need to either go and loot or have a rest. She's found where the loot is, and so she's going to start looting probably, unless we go and deal with it. Unless we go and loot first, or with her. Everyone is sus. Trust no one. Cat won't suffice for all this, but we must fix it. Is it safe? He says, "What, his cave? Yeah, is it safe? There's no traps, no extra monsters?" And she says, "No, nothing that I saw. I don't think he was smart enough to lay traps. He ruled by fear, and making sure that we never outnumbered him. I don't think he ever expected us to be brave enough or stupid enough to try and tackle him, especially not in his own cave. All right, I suppose let's go and check it out then." So, is there anyone against the idea of going to loot now? Go and take a look at the stuff, have a short rest, fix and get the cart, move stuff to Shadridge. Go pick up the good stuff from the cave before everybody else takes it. And Mel comes down. Bzzz. "Are you alright, Apis?" "I am alright." "You don't look so good." You look down and see the like blood that has been cut from the the spines hitting you in the shoulder and stuff is seeped down over your leather armor. It seems like your leather armor's seen much better days, and if you don't get it washed soon, this blood is going to really warp the leather. The wound itself has started to congeal, but you're still kind of sore in the shoulder. Is there anyone alive in the cave? And she says, "Nah, I didn't see anybody. There's no bodies, no meat, no one alive or dead." They made it pretty clear he didn't leave people alive. Nope. He never left more than 4 of them alive at once, because then they could outnumber him and overthrow him. When somebody came along who was better at being a bandit than the 4 he currently had, he replaced one that he had. Let them go. It's barely a scratch, just a flesh wound. Alright, so we go to loot. So we follow Felicity to the sort of mound of grassy terrain that she's walking towards. And as we walk around it, rather than going up and over it, we see that it kind of drops off suddenly on the other side. And instead of being a grassy hill, it's actually a sort of rocky outcropping. And there's just a hole in the center of it that's good enough for you to go in through. There's a bit of winding back and forth as it goes down into the earth a little bit. And then just under the ground, under the large grassy mound of earth, just underneath there, we see that there is a cavern that smells like a manticore has been living there for a while. It smells kind of like wet dog, mixed with some sort of decay, like perhaps some of the meals that have dropped out from between his many teeth. Some of that human flesh that has been stuck in his teeth. Maybe he spits it into a corner, or maybe he fouls the corner himself with his lion scent, marking it. One way or another, the cave does not smell nice, and it has a sort of dank, musty sort of smell to it. We can see in the darkness with our dark vision that there are many crates around the place, crates and boxes just lined up. There's furs and things lining on the ground, but it's not a well looked after place. There's no organisation to the different things that we're looking at. What do you guys want to do? As the others start to move down, and all 3 of them being human, they don't have dark vision, they kind of just look around the area. She says, we should try and find a torch. And then Oliver says, you able to see down here, right, with your eyes? And you say, I can see better than you can, probably, yes. Can you see torches? And you say, I can see torches. And you rummage in your bag, you grab a torch out, and you're like, oh, well, there you go. And you hand it to Oliver. And he says, tinderbox, anyone? Tinderbox, matches? And you say, I've got a tinderbox, eh? And you get your tinderbox out and you light it for him. And as the torchlight flickers into view, kind of blinding your dark vision for a second, you take a moment to adjust, and likewise with the 3 of them, they kind of take a moment to adjust as he holds this the torchlight up behind him and illuminates the whole cave. You start to look around the place. Now, I am going to, because it's a non-time sensitive situation right now, we can just take 20 essentially. You can take 20 minutes to search the whole place, and it's the same as making a nat 20 on your investigation of the place. Investigation for traps before you do anything else. Yeah, you have a look around the place without touching anything else. You sort of look on the floor, you look on the ceiling, the walls, you look on the crates, and you don't see anything that's obviously a trap. And given that this manticore had lion paws instead of opposable digits, there's a good chance that he didn't put any traps together himself. And Thunderbolt might have. Thunderbolt's pretty good with that sort of thing, you imagine. But nothing that you can see anyway. So you just take 20 minutes, you do a thorough investigation of the goods and the wares that are in the place. It's not long before Felicity finds her wand. So she has a wand of web. You also find a doll that when you touch it, it says it's like a little baby looking thing made out of wood. and as you pick it up, a sound emerges from it that says, "I'm hungry." You also find 2 long swords, 3 short swords, a short bow, 2 quivers, 26 arrows, a crate of dried foods, 12 flasks of oil, 4 oil lanterns, 100 candles, a box of chalk, a box of incense, a crate of random leathers and cobbler's tools, a box of nails, 2 sacks of wool, a crate of fabrics, 3 barrels of wine, some studded leather armor, a crate that when you open it has Knights of Kavosna capes and insignia inside it, a crate of animal feed, 55 gold pieces, 85 silver pieces, and 104 copper pieces, 4 necklaces worth a little bit of money each, it seems, and 3 rings, also worth a little bit of money. So as we investigate, it seems like, yep, there was food. There was destined. There was some dried foods and things destined for supplementing the new town in case the farms aren't enough. There's barrels of wine to supplement the bars. There is crates of fabrics and wool and leathers and things for setting up new businesses. There's candles, chalk, stuff to supplement the general store. And then armor and knights insignias that were destined to the new barracks that was being made to start creating a Knights of Kavosna stronghold, a foothold in Shadridge. Can the lady cast detect magic? We say, do we ask her that, Asmiel? We say, can you cast detect magic? And she goes, as a ritual, yes. Could you, in case there's magic things? And she says, I suppose I've got my wand, and that doll has clearly got some sort of magic to it. But yeah, I suppose so. I don't see why not. And she starts to ritualistic cast detect magic, which means that it'll take 10 minutes for her to actually cast it. Can we notify the villagers of all the loot that we do not necessarily need? So they're looting at the same time as us. They're checking around the place for stuff. Do we find it before they do? That's a good question. Do we find the gold before they do? It's not all in one place. It's in like various pouches and things. Although I suppose all the pouches would be in one place. If we take the cart and the manticore to Shadridge, and the cargo, which was meant for Shadridge, we should do so first. Else we'd have to get another horse, and it would take double the time to get stuff to Shadridge, which should have arrived there days ago. I'm not sure I fully followed that, but yes, probably. Everything should go to Shadridge, and we'll get a fair reward of it. And if we skin the manticore, we can get it tanned or sell it. Some of the money should go to the other 3 at least. We persuade the others to leave the gold to us. We can try. Most of this is supplies that belong to Shadridge and Fonderg. Yes, there's incense. Yeah, there's a box of incense that seemed to have been destined for some sort of temple or chapel or church or something. Burn that creepy doll. I say share the gold if we don't need to deliver all the knights for legal reasons. Burn the doll. Feed the doll. The doll said, "I'm hungry" when you picked it up. Alright, let's find out if Apis is the first to find the gold or not. How many people are looking? There's 4 of us, right? Ooh, don't get to use this dice very often. It's like a translucent pink. Apis is the Apis dice, of course. We also have Morn, Felicity, and Oliver. Felicity got a 4. She ain't gonna find it. Apis got a 7. Morn got a 13, and Oliver got a 14. So Oliver is the one to get to the gold first. As we're about 10 minutes into our investigation, we're opening crates and realizing, oh yeah, this is more stuff that was destined. And you're like, oh, a whole box of candles, and you do a quick count of them. You're like, it's probably about 100 candles in there. And then Oliver says, oh, I found our coin purses. I'm surprised he didn't eat them. And Morn at that point drops whatever he was holding, a bag of wool, sack of wool. And he goes, not 4 candles, no. He comes rushing over as well. And Oliver goes, wait, hold on. This one's mine. And he picks that out. How much of that is gone then? Let's go, how many of the gold would he have on him? He would have D12. Let's go D12 gold pieces. That's an 8. So he takes 8 gold, taking it down to 47. How many silver pieces? He would have a D20 silver pieces. That's only 5. And he would have a D20 copper pieces. That's 19. So 5 of the silver pieces are gone. And 19 of the copper pieces are gone, taking that to 85. And then he goes, which one was yours, Mon? And Mon goes, which was the fullest? No. No. And Mon goes out to grab them and kind of weigh them, and Oliver slaps him. Stop. This is not. If this isn't your money, it's not your money. Which one's yours? And he goes, it's the one that said bad motherfucker on it. Name it. He goes, it's the brown leather satchel at the back there. And he grabs that. How much would he have on him as a farrier? He wouldn't have a D12 worth of gold. He'd have a D10 worth. 2! He only had 2 gold pieces on him. That's good for you, having things left over. How many of the silver pieces would he have? He would have that many. 4. 4 of the silver pieces. And then how many of the copper pieces? He has 19. Yeah, he has 19 as well. Look at that. Coincidence. And then what's her chops? Felicity comes over as well at this point and has been watching, and she says, mine's the purple one. And he goes, yeah, I thought so. I thought as much. And he hands her that. She would actually have a D20 of the 3. She had a D20 gold and she only had 3 of them, so that's handy for you. So there's that much left of hers, and she's got this much silver, 6 and 18. 18. They almost all had 9. They almost all had 19 gold. Copper rather. 47 copper. All right. So remaining, we walk over and we say, "That one's mine." And he goes, "Oh, which? Wait." Oh, and he realizes that we're joking, and he goes, "How much is there though?" And he has a little look through it, and he goes, "These must all be from the ones that he ate." I don't remember which one Thunderbolts would have been, but hey, you can have Thunderbolts amount. He goes, "This one." He grabs one and throws it to you, and that's your rightful amount before you then split it up between you, I guess. Thunderbolt would have, that's 8 gold, 19 silver, and 3 copper. He says, right, the owners of the rest of this money, they are dead, and there's no possible way of us finding out who the money belonged to get it back to their families. So, all in favour of dividing the rest of this money fairly between us, and all hands go into the air because why not? And so you get a fourth of the remaining gold, which is a quarter of 34. Quarter of 34 would be 8.5, right? 8.5 gold each. So 8 more gold to you. And then a quarter of 51 silver pieces is 10 and so 13, just under 13, so 12 and 3/4. Quarter of 44 copper remaining is 11 more, taking you to 27. And then the final silver is just like the final 3 silver are divvied up amongst you, and you take 1 because you did the kill. There you go. Boom. So we've divided up all of the gold that were in all of the pouches from the various people that had died. You now have 28 gold in your stash back in the riverbank, and 28 gold on your person as well. You look down into your pouch and you're like, this is the richest you've ever been. This is quite a lot of money. And your first thought is, I could probably buy some better armor now. And then your second thought is, I just saw some better armor over there. And you go back over and you look at the studded leather armor, and it's made for a human in its size. But you know a blacksmith. In fact, you know 2 blacksmiths, one of which you just saved. So he can probably alter this for you. And if you can get your new blacksmith friend to alter this studded leather armor for you, then there you go. We can afford a chain shirt now, can't we? Potentially, yeah. Are we proficient in chain shirts as a ranger? Yeah, we are proficient in chain shirts, but they would give us disadvantage on stealth checks if we wore chain. There is not a chain shirt in the pile here. As we look around for what armor there is, we see that there's leather armor and there's studded leather armor, and we realize any metal armor was probably eaten to fuel his iron tail. So no chain shirt, no metal armor either. No stealth disadvantage. Chain shirts don't have stealth disadvantage. Am I thinking of chain mail? Why would a chain shirt not have stealth disadvantage? It's not rubbing against anything, I guess. Not clanging against anything. You're meant to wear it under something that muffles it, I guess. So what else is there? That's all the gold gone. There are 4 necklaces and 3 rings that look like they're worth something. You want to divide those up as well, like you think that you would? Let's see. Oliver doesn't like the idea of dividing these up because these belonged to somebody, and it might be easier to find who they belonged to. But at the same time, who the hell knows? It'll probably end up going to somebody who didn't. So he could be persuaded. Let's roll a persuasion check. Yeah. He finally agrees. There's 4 necklaces and 4 of you alive, so why not? And so each of you takes one of the necklaces, which you can have appraised or give as a gift to somebody if you wish at some point. I actually do have a necklace somewhere, don't I? Where's the inventory? Have I uploaded it already? Necklace, where are you? There you go. Actually already got a necklace from Spidey. Boom. So that's one of your necklaces. And then there's 3 rings. 3 rings that look like they might be worth something. So let's vote on who wants them. Oliver decides he's not going to take one, so you can take a ring. Is there a way to find out who they belong to? Potentially with powerful enough magic, yes. But we ain't got that. She found her wand. Felicity found her wand, yes. Chain shirt is 13 plus dex with no disadvantage. Chain mail is 16 with disadvantage. Okay, thank you, Sparrow. So yeah, chain shirt would give us a 13 plus dex to a maximum of 2, right? So a chain shirt would take us to having a 15 armor, whereas studded leather would also take us to a 15 armor. So either way, studded leather or chain shirt, we're going to have a 15 armor class. How's that detect magic ritual going? There we go. That's a good question. I'd forgotten about that. So, after breaking off her ritual to get that money, because she was halfway through the ritual when Oliver said, "Oh, I found money," and she goes, "Oh, okay." She grabs the money that she's owed, and then spend 10 minutes divvying it out making sure everybody gets something. She takes a necklace, she puts it on. She's like, oh, this is quite nice. Puts one of the rings on. Nice stuff. And then she studded leather is 12 plus dex. Yeah, 12 plus dex. And our dex is 3. So, is that what you're saying? Studded leather is 12 plus dex of 3. And then chain shirt, being that it's a medium armor, means that you can add your dexterity only to a maximum of 2. So you would have a 13 plus 2 from your dexterity, 15. So she gets back to work on the ritual as we look through the rest of things. Box of chalk, crate of leather and cobbler's tools, the knight's capes and insignia. You see that there's a mostly blue knights, blue badger capes. And then 10 minutes later, she goes, right, it's here. And she looks around the place. And she says, I'm not seeing anything lighting up. The doll's lighting up. It's a sort of a transmutation magic. I think it's weak. I think it's just something that's, I don't know. I think it's just a children's doll maybe. And you go and pick it up, and this time it says, hold me, mummy. She says, I think it's a children's toy. We put it down. We pick it up again, and it says, wah! We put it down again, and we pick it up, and it says, I'm hungry. We put it down, and pick it up again, and it says, wah! Punt it. She says, yes, it's just a children's toy, I think. She looks around the rest of the thing, looks in some crates and stuff. And then she stops and double takes. And squints. Says, huh. And goes over to the sack that Mon was holding that he dropped to go and run over to the money. And she says, something's glowing from in here. And she opens it up, and it's a sack of wool. And she grabs a handful of the wool that's not been not braided. What's the word when you turn it into actual yarn? It hasn't been processed. She starts taking them out and just dumping handfuls of wool onto the ground. And then she puts her hand in the sack and brings out a small circlet. It's almost like a tiara. Spun. Yeah, it's not been spun or felted. This is abjuration magic, she says. Carded, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Sionin and Wraith. Carded is the word I was looking for. It's not been carded. It says, this is an abjuration circlet. Why was it in a bag of wool? I think I better hold on to this. The Arcanists Entente will be interested in knowing what it is. Burn the doll for our fire when we rest. She looks around the other place and looks in the rest of the sacks with the 10 minutes that her detect magic is running for, and nothing else comes up. And she says, "No, it was just my wand, the doll, and this thing. Anyway, where to from here? Is there anything else that anybody wants?" And you say, I might want the studded leather armor. I could do with some better armor after that fight. And she looks over it and says, yeah, it's seen better days. And Mon goes, bring it in. And he walks over to you and has a look at your armor and says, yeah, that's getting to the point where you're going to need to buy more. I'm all in favour of the lady taking the armor. And you say, not a lady. Sorry, I forget. All in favour of, what was your name again? Apis. All in favour of Apis taking the studded leather, and they're all fine with it. So if you want, the studded leather is yours. Can you can you fix this armor so that it actually fits me though? Can you like fit it? And he goes, of course I can. What kind of a blacksmith do you take me for? Right. All right. Well, let's do that then. Let's get you guys back to Shadridge. And yeah, they're all fine with going on to Shadridge. I think that's where their destination was. They still want to head there. None of them are wanting to head back to Fondurg. Who wants the doll? You say. No takers. Nobody wants the doll. Do you want the doll? Yes or no in the chat. Does Apis want to keep the doll or not? It seems, unless you want to investigate it some more, if you go by what she's just told you, what Felicity's said, then the doll is just a children's doll that is programmed or enchanted to make a different noise every time you pick it up. Give it to a rando kid. Take it. It will make sound all the time. Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, no. Most people saying no, burn it. Put it in the cart for Shadridge. Alright, so is there a cliff nearby to punt it off of? Investigate the doll. So we pick it up enough times until it cycles back round to... and as we're doing so, we're realising it's not in like an order. It seems like it's got a list of random phrases that it repeats every time it's picked up. But it's not in a cyclical order. It just like picks one of them and repeats that phrase. It's never the same phrase twice though. From our short investigation of it. As we pick it up, eventually it gets back to the I'm hungry, and so we get out some rations and we put the food to its mouth, and it's just a painted on wooden face with like a painted on smile. Doesn't actually do anything. We put it down, we pick it up again. Wah! We put it down, pick it up again. Hold me, mummy. So you hold it in your arms and kind of rock it a bit. Nothing happens. Put it down, pick it up again. What's another phrase a baby would say? Doesn't seem to be anything other than a child's toy, enchanted to be a talking doll essentially. Could gift it to a kid, gift it to an orphan or something. So most people say no, we don't want it, but most people are also saying we could give it to somebody who does want it. So we take it with the rest of the loot. We just pop it in one of the boxes of stuff, one of the crates of oil lanterns and candles and things. Box of incense, and then we start to take these things outside. We up the little slope, round the corner, and out through the entrance back into the daylight. Oh boy, it's bright out here now. We start ferrying the crates back outside until everything that was inside is out in the open, and it's a relief to be out of the stinky cave. What now? Are we going to have a short rest now? Are we going to go and try and fix that cart now? I think those are the only options really. Fix the cart or have a short rest. Is there anything else? Short rest and then fix the cart. Alright. So we say, right. I could do to fix that cart up. Let's take some of this stuff back to the cart, and then before we actually sit off, I need to have a lie down or just to sit down for a minute. I need to catch my breath. It's been a long day already, and it's only afternoon, so I could. And Oliver says it's fine. You can have a rest. You've done enough for us. Thank you. We'll get started on fixing the cart. We've been, God knows, we've been staring at the axle for long enough now. Hours on end staring at that damn axle. I'm sure we know how to fix it by now, or what it needs. Mon says, I'll have that cart fixed within an hour. And so Mon and Oliver and Felicity are going to head off back to the cart. Each of them grabs a crate of stuff and starts to walk back through the woods towards the cart. It's going to take a little bit of a walk to get there, and a little bit of a walk to get back and ferry all of this stuff out of the woods. But hey, they've done it once. A short rest in my world is half an hour. And so we sit down and just like lean against the stone wall by all of these crates of stuff while they go starting to ferry all the stuff back over to the cart, and we start our short rest. While we're sitting down and sort of like tending to our wounds a bit, we get some of our medical herbalism kit, and we start to like squish it up and put it into the wound to make sure it doesn't get infected or whatever. We take some of our rations out and eat those as well with bloody fingers. After being worried about infection, we're not sure. We don't know about germ theory. We don't want the wound to get infected, but we don't care about eating food with hands that have got blood and guts and gore on them. So we have a little bit of our rations, touch ourselves up in a non-weird way, in a medical way, and then about 15 minutes or so into the short rest, we feel sufficiently rested and stretched out that we can actually focus on reading some of our book. So we grab out our book, the one on herbalism or the one on potions. So we're wanting the one on potions, aren't we? Put the herbalism one back. Here is the one on potions. Potion brewing for beginners. And start flicking through them. Looking for anything that says manticore. We're taking our time a little more this time and making our way down the page. Just skimming for the word manticore anywhere. Manticore. Doesn't seem like it. Let's do an investigation check. I'll give you advantage on it. Nat 20. Look at that. 16 or a nat 20. Nat 20 plus our investigation of 3. We feel like we have done a very thorough job of this. There is no mention of manticore in this book of potions. So if manticore parts are used in potions, then they're not beginner potions. With the nat 20, we actually go back through and like look for talk of other animals and things that might be related, like anything to do with like scorpions or iron. The word iron, we look for that, and iron comes up quite a lot in these potions. Some of them in like the ingredients, it must be in an iron pot. Some of them must be stirred with an iron spoon or an iron ladle or an iron rod. Some of them actually have iron filings as like an ingredient. So iron comes up quite a lot, but we're like, okay, I don't even know if the manticore barbs are actually iron at all. They're just some sort of metal. It's kind of like a longsword sort of metal, but it might be iron, might be something else. We don't learn anything from the book, and we're pretty sure that this book on beginners potions is not going to assist us in knowing what to harvest from this manticore. The book doesn't have an index. No, it does not. The back of the book we find a hint. For manticore looting, please refer to Manticore Cooking in Style. What's Mel up to during our rest? I guess she's having a rest as well. Do we want to roll a dice on our rest, by the way? Do we want to roll a hit dice? We have all our hit dice. Oh, no, we don't. We used some of them during the rest between the fight and the manticore. How many did we use, everybody? We used 2. I had 2 in mind as well. We used 2 dice before the fight. We should have 2 left. Yeah, I was thinking that was the case. So are we going to use another one or not? We get one dice back every long rest. Roll one. All right. Most people saying yes, let's roll one, so let's roll one. Rangers get a d10, so here goes. 6 plus our con mod of 2, we get 8 hit points back. So we are back up to 30 hit points out of a total of 45. So we're no longer wounded. We're still on only 66% of our maximum health, but we are looking better than we were. So by the end of this half hour, all of the crates have been ferried back and forth. Felicity's been making snide comments, passive aggressively every time she comes to pick up another crate, and she's like, no, just stay there, it's fine. And we've just been letting it slide for now. But it's clear that she's pissed off that we're sitting down for half an hour while they're ferrying crates. Could get a manticloak. Could get a manticloak, yeah. Yeah, as well, that's good to keep in mind that just because this book on beginner's potions doesn't list manticore, it doesn't mean that they're not useful in other magic items rather than just potions. They could be useful for various other things. Could be able to turn one of these manticore spikes into a dagger or something. Needs to check Edith's store for a first aid kit and some potions. We could certainly do. She did shit all but nearly die in that fight, so she can shut up. Could get it to a taxidermist and sell it to somebody wealthy. That's definitely a viable option. It's a good reason to not start hacking at its face, is that a taxidermist might pay a lot of money for it. This synapse does not like Felicity. Felicity's sass. As long as we don't hold onto the manticore's skin in a bag for far too long. Cough, Baradoon, cough. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we've finished our short rest. Do we feel like talking these guys into letting us have another short rest if we want to roll the last of our hit dice, or is that enough? 30 out of 45. Is that enough for continuing on for now? It has taken a half hour for these. Mon took the first crate out along with the other two. But then since then, for that half hour, it's only been Felicity and Oliver that have been ferrying things back and forth, and you assume, rightly, that Morn has stayed with the cat and has been spending time fixing the cat. Let's see how he did. How did you do, Morn? Let's roll some dice and see how you went. Which dice do I feel like rolling for you? This one! Hooah! Bounced out of the tray. Here we go again. Hooah! Oh man, it rocked between a 12 and a 2 and it went back and forth like 3 times and then landed on a 2. He is not doing well. By the time we get to the cart, we've rested for half an hour and then walked for a good 5 minutes through the forest to get to the cart on the road. On the road again. And we've taken our horse with us. And our bee. And when we get there, he is just like, fucking just rested, and we hear something clang against something else, and as we move out of the tree line, we can see that he's just thrown a hammer down on the rock, and he's just like sat down and this is not, I don't, you walk over, you alright? Yeah, I can't get the weight off of the damn cart long enough for me to hold the thing, and every time I do, I've made 2 of these axles now, and I keep breaking because I keep putting it down before I'm finished with it, and it snaps. Can you come and help me? And so we help him for the next half hour. Oliver and Apis, and to a much lesser extent Felicity, help Mon in holding the weight of the cart while he threads through another axle that he's fashioned up. It looks like it's a really shitty axle that he's basically taken off of a branch from a nearby tree and then just hacked off the bigger parts of it, and it's just about the right size to be the axle. So he's really just making a what's the word, a ham fist. He's making a what's the expression? He's doing a shoddy job of just enough to get you to Shadridge kind of thing. Felicity's not helping. What a surprise! Makeshift. He's doing a makeshift job essentially, but it's hopefully enough to hold for a little while. Jerry-rigged, I think that's the word I was looking for. He was doing a jerry-rig. Old dwarven word called pfush. Pfush and chips. A Monday example. A Monday example. So by the end of the hour or so, we've had a short rest. We've got the cart fixed. It takes another half hour to actually load up the cart. By now it's mid-afternoon. And then we load up. We fasten up old Ed, Mr. Ed, to the front of the cart, and we start heading off towards Shadridge. It was about half a day to get to here from the old forest, so it'll be about half a day. It'll be the rest of today. You'll lose the light before you get back to the forest. The manticore as well. Yeah, we're going to need the manticore. So another 20 minutes on top of that to go back, get the manticore, and between you drag it out to the cart and put that on there as well. So you've got the carts, you've got all the equipment, you've got the manticore, and Ed is going to be struggling with you on it as well. So Ed, you all walk alongside the cart as Ed pulls this cart along, and just watch as the wheels wobble back and forth on this shitty branch, which kind of creaks and groans as it sort of gives. It's got a lot more give to it than a core wood axle shaft would. So as we're walking, somebody mentions the sort of elephant in the room, the fact that you're not going to make it to Shadridge tonight, and where are we going to sleep, and what else is possibly out here that's a danger. And you explain, well, I actually came from Shadridge, and I slept in the dead woods just up ahead. I would not recommend it unless you like termites. There's a lot of termites, even big ones, real big ones. So possibly set up camp this side of the deadwoods, and then in the morning we can navigate through. It's going to be a bit difficult to bring this cart through, but hopefully we'll manage. And then once we're on the other side of Deadwood, I'm afraid there's no path. It's flat and better than taking it through a forest, but it'll be quite tricky on the old axle and the wheels and things. We might struggle a bit. And he goes, well, if it snaps again, it snaps again, and we have to walk on foot to Shadridge, get a new axle, and come back for the cart. So the night falls. Eventually, it gets to the point where with the three humans, they just don't want to continue anymore because it's much too dark for them to see where they're going. So we decide to set up camp, and we head off and grab some firewood. We're used to living in the wild, so we know how to set up a camp very quickly. Who is going to take watch? Are we going to take first watch, or are we going to leave it to them? Tell Mel to command the giant termite to carry the stuff, right? Maybe. Could we help him to make a better axle during the long rest? Potentially. Seems like he might be a bit tired and a bit over the whole axle making process. Time for a long rest for me too. Nah, I'm actually doing okay. Thank you though. I'll take first watch since they skipped the rest. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we had a rest, so we think it's only necessary to have a long to take first watch. So we say, right, I'll take watch. You guys can go to sleep. I'll wake one of you when it's time to take over though. I know that none of you are good in the dark, but I think it's best if there's things like that guy out here, I'd rather not be crept up on, if you know what I mean. Who wants to be woken after me? And Oliver says, I'll take the watch after that. Right, yeah. And then after Oliver, you can wake one of the other two, I'm sure. And so we take watch and we wait and have a look out while the others all sort of sit around. They have some rations. They eat some of the dried food that's in the crates destined for Shadridge. We learn a little more about them if we haven't already. Morn is called Morn Lancaster. There's very little else he tells us about himself. He studied to be a blacksmith. He had an apprenticeship, and when he graduated, when he had his, I've forgotten now. There's 3 steps. You go apprentice, tradesman, master. Can't remember. When he got to the second step, he decided that farriering, being a farrier, it was his calling. So he took up the journeyman. Thank you. So apprentice, journeyman, master, I think. So when he got to become a journeyman, he decided he was going to pursue farrier. We learn that Felicity is called Felicity Gilman. She is in her late 20s, and she's worked for the Arcanists Entente for quite some time, like for a good 10 years or so. She's always had gifts with wizardry, but it doesn't come to her naturally as it does with others. She's not quite as proficient as many others in the Arcanists Entente, and she wants to better herself through proving her worth out in the frontier, where there is fewer competition for her. And finally, we've got Oliver Floxmore, who was journeying out here with a Squire Jonathan. And about 8 days ago, he watched as Phagos brutalized and murdered and devoured Jonathan while he was alive from the feet up, and forced Oliver to watch with eye contact the entire time. And then when Oliver tried to run, when he finally, his brain started working again and got sent messages to his legs, Phagos flung iron spikes on the ground in front of him as if to say, "Don't run, I can hit you." And eventually he sort of collapsed and cried for a day or so, and then realised that he had no option but to do what he had to do to survive. But he had wanted to be a knight for quite some time. He had finally given up his job working on a farm, just as a farmhand, and applied for the knights and became a prospective squire. And this was the first way to make himself known among the knights and hopefully earn a promotion into proper squire. So we have a little chat with them, get to know them a little better, and then they go to sleep, and we keep watch. Let's have a watch party. That was a cock. 3 plus our perception of 4. That's only a 7. So we're tired, man. We're only at 66% of our health. It's been a long day. We've been ferrying things around, and we're excited that we've got so much gold to spend, and we might be getting some better armor. But it's so. Oh shit! We're not keeping watch. What's happening? Nothing. There's nothing. Oh man, that hammock was comfortable. Oh, I wish there was a couple of trees that I could put that hammock up between now. That was nice. I should get a proper hammock rather than a net. Oh shit! What am I doing? Where am I? I saved their life. The 3 of them. Look in there. Look at them sitting there, all quiet and sleeping. I bet that's the best they've slept in weeks. Can you imagine having to watch what poor Oliver had to watch? Having to watch as your friend and your mentor is eaten in front of you by a horrendous monster, and then the sound of the cracking skull of Thunderbolt comes back to you. Oh, that was... it doesn't bear thinking about. You watch the embers of the fire starting to die. Oh man, I can't kind of keep my eyes open here. I'm gonna have to wake Oliver. I don't know if it's been 2 hours or not, but I'm tired. I'm really tired. And so you put another log on the fire and you stoke it a bit. You get up and give yourself a little slap to to not look like you've been falling asleep on the job. And you go and wake up Oliver again. Hey, wake up! And he comes too. Yeah. Where? Why? Yeah. Sorry. Yes, it's my turn to watch. Sorry. Yeah. I'm awake. And he sits up and. How is everything okay? There's a stirring from Felicity at the noise. Sorry. You can go back to sleep. It's fine. Sorry. Is everything okay? Are you okay? Hey, I'm okay. Just tired. It's time to go. I've put another log on the fire. There's wood next to it. You can keep the fire lit. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get to sleep though. I'm really tired. And he says, "Yes, you look like you definitely need some rest." And he gets up and grabs a blanket, puts it over himself, and goes and sits by the fire. Keeps an eye out for everything, and you snuggle down onto his bedroll, which is nice and toasty warm, and you grab your own blanket and put it over, and within seconds you're out. And you're woken up by the sound of a sizzling egg as you come to. Not an eagle egg this time. There's a sizzling egg, and then the sound of it wakes you, and then the smell, and you hear like a pan hitting wood, and then you wake up and you sort of roll over and you see that Morn is over by the campfire, and he's got like a couple of sticks set up and a little bit of a wooden, almost like a spit, and he's got out a pan from one of the supplies in the crate, and he's got out some eggs that were that weren't in the supplies. So he's obviously gone and found some eggs nearby from some sort of a nest in the woods that you're camping outside of, and he's cooking them up for you. We have we put our blanket and bedrolls and things away. Make sure that we've got all of our things back. We have a little sit down breakfast with Morn, who's in a very chipper mood and is excited to know about Shadridge and the building that they were creating for him. Over breakfast, you talk about how you saw them putting up the building right before you set off. So not to get his hopes up too much, but he's going to have a building soon. It's probably just not ready until for a little while. Termite eggs. So they could be eagle eggs, maybe. Yeah. The eggs were hostile. Eventually, we get on the road again and set off towards Shadridge. We struggle with the cart through the. In fact, I'm going to roll a percentile check to see, as we're struggling the cart through the dead woods with the termite, is there a chance that the axle breaks? What is the chance? 67. No, it's not. The axle manages to hold on the way through the woods. It takes us the best part of the rest of the morning to get our. Oh yes, we do have our spells back. Yes, we have all our health back. We're up to 45 hit points, and we've regained one of our 3 spent hit dice. So we are back to having 2 hit dice for us. It is now the 30th of Eulabris. 30th of Eulabris. Yeah. As we make our way through in the morning, by the end of the sort of right before noon, we manage to make our way through the Deadwood, and we continue on for another hour past that until about noon, when we start to feel hungry again and we stop to make lunch. Don't die! Don't fall on the ground, you bastard! I don't know why I keep missing this goddamn dice tray. It's not like it's a small dice tray. 59. The axle still holds for now. We cook ourselves up some food. Most of the rations, basically, we just eat cold food rather than starting a campfire. We prepare some of the rations in a way that makes them a little bit more enjoyable as we sit around and chat, and then continue on the journey into the afternoon. One more time. Over ground as we're starting to go up the ridge after which Shadridge is named. Oh no, still just succeeded still. So there is a noticeable crack sound as we go over one of the bumps, and we go, no, crap, and Morn goes, not again, and then no, it seems to be holding, and checks it out, gets underneath and looks at it. It's still holding. There's just a big crack through it now. I don't know if it'll make Shadridge. We continue on into the late afternoon, early evening, and as we can see Shadridge approaching, one more time. There it is, 007. 007. As we're about maybe 20 minutes out of Shadridge, about 20 minutes from the beginnings of Shadridge, which would be Paul's farm / barracks. The axle finally gives out, and the back end of the crate, and we hear from Ed, who is spooked by it and tries to take off, but the harness is still holding him to the cart that's just fucking cracked and smashed behind him. Right, well, at least we're walking distance now. I guess we ferry from here. This time of year, early spring, the sunlight would be going down now. It's getting to the stage where we're about an hour away from it being dark. Probably about half an hour away from twilight. And so what do we want to do at this point? Do we want to try and refix the axle? Do we want to try and walk into Shadridge, get an axle and come back? Fix the axle up and then into Shadridge? Or do we want to start carting just on foot and leave this cart just broken at the side of the road on the way. Give a letter to Mel, tell her to dash to town. That could work as well. Calm Ed down first. Yeah, of course. Let's roll an animal handling check, see how Ed does. 18. 18's good. Plus our animal handling. Definitely enough. We managed to calm Ed down. It's okay. It's okay. Shh. It's okay. Chill him out. Send Mel off to Edith with a letter, maybe. We can see Shadridge from here, yeah. So send Mel with a letter to Kathleen. That sounds a good idea. So we go. Don't worry. We'll send Mel. Mel, and she comes down. Yes, what is the matter? It seems like you're in a bit of trouble. Yeah, it's okay. I'll write you a letter. You take it to Kathleen. Are we taking it to Kathleen or Edith? Who are we taking it to? You take it to. Insert name here. We start writing it out. Hey, just found the found the reason for the issue. We're about 20 minutes out of Shadridge, but our cart has broken an axle. Are we telling them to send help or send an axle or send a new cart? What are we axling for? Send it to Kathleen or the mayor. Most people saying Kathleen. She is the most authoritative of the Knights of Kvosna in town at the moment. Send cart. Send a useful blacksmith. Ooh, burn! Send a new cart. And you give like the specifications of the size of the cart that you need. Send a so-and-so size cart, blah, blah, blah. And you roll it up. Thankfully, you don't actually have paper and ink on you, but I don't mind saying that would be among the supplies that were destined for the general store. So you open up the crate. I'm sure I saw parchment in here somewhere. Ink, bottles. There we go. You write it out. You roll it up. You hand it to Mel. Can you hold on to that? Can you hold it? And she uses two of her front legs to try and kind of awkwardly hold it. I really need to get you a thing like they've got for pigeons. Anyway, you know where Kathleen is and what she looks like. Of course, I'll be right back. And she sacks off. And now we wait, I suppose. And Mon says, yeah, I suppose. And he sits down and just rests for a bit while we wait for them to return. Be nice, our blacksmith's been through some shit. Alright, so we still as we sit down, as the cart collapsed on the back corner and the wheel came off it again. The doll came tumbling out and goes, "Hug me, Mummy!" It's the ground. You pick it up, and it goes, "Wah!" Put it back in the crate. About half an hour, about 40 minutes later. So it's about 40 minutes later. We see a cart come trundling towards us, driven by a horse, and walked along the side of by Kathleen. Kathleen's bringing the horse herself, and as she approaches to within sort of recognizable range, where you can see who she is and what she's up to, she sort of waves and you can see that she looks strong and healthy. She looks like she's fully got her strength back and everything. She says, Hapers and guests. I see that perhaps the supplies were on the way, but stopped by broken axles, or what seems to be the problem? You see, it's a long story. I won't go into it right yet, but the short version of it is this guy. And you point to the back of the cart as she arrives, and she looks into the back of the cart to see what you're holding, and Ho! Good gods! Is that... I think she'll probably know what it is, but let me check. She does, just. That's a chimera, isn't it? No, a manticore, just as Mon says. No, it's a manticore. Manticore, yes, a manticore. I never. This thing, what? I don't understand then. What was happening? And you see, the short story is he was eating people on the way. Can we get the stuff? It's been a long day. Can we get the stuff transferred across, and then I'll debrief you on everything once we get to Shadridge. The other good thing is that the path from here to Fondurg should be safe now, or at least as safe as frontier paths generally are. Because yes, excellent work. Right, you are. And she starts to help the four of you the five of you together start to shuffle the crates across to the new cart, and start walking back towards Shadridge. And as you walk the 20 minutes that it takes to actually get to Shadridge proper, you sort of take her off to the side and fill her in on the story and what had happened, and the fact that these guys ambushed you, but it wasn't their fault, and they were kind of being forced to do it under threat of death and blah blah blah. And she says, right, okay, thank you for letting me know. I was actually I was told to expect some new recruits coming, so that was obviously meant to be Oliver and Jonathan. Well, it's good that we have Oliver here now. A new recruit is always worth it, and it seems like he's certainly earned his title as squire. I saw one of the crates was with Knights of Kavosna gear as well, so that's useful. We could do with some more things. I want to tell her about the tiara. We say, another thing. In one of the bags of wool, there was a tiara, like a magic circlet of some kind, like a thing for your head. Felicity has it. She said that it was like, what did she say? I'm gonna make an Arcana check, see if you remember the word she used. 9 plus your intelligence of 3, that's 12. You say, she said it was like a aberration magic or something. And she goes, aberration magic. Okay. I don't know what that is, but it was in the wool, you said? Hey, it was in a wool. Huh. What? I just don't know. Why were they sending wool here? Why would they not send wool? Wool's useful. He said, yes, wool's useful, but we have sheep on the Colton's farm. Right. The Colton's farm aren't for meat. The Colton's farm, well, the sheep aren't anyway. The cows are. The sheep are specifically wool sheep. They're designed for the wool. Who was using the wool? Says, well, the weaver. Sally. The wool was going to Sally. And that is where we're going to leave it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. We will see you next week.